Yo, 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 what's going on, WTBI family? As y'all can see, it's just WTBI Zeem. I don't have Khan with me today. This is just a little bit of an exclusive that I wanted to bring to you guys. As we know, it is currently Monday, March 20th. We just had a great basketball weekend in terms of March Madness, in terms of NBA. What I really want to focus on today is March Madness. We've had some phenomenal games these past couple of days. The tournament just started on Thursday. We just wrapped up the first week, and we are officially in the Sweet 16 now. Round of 64 and round of 32 have been wrapped up. So I kind of just wanted to come to you guys and give you guys a little bit of my opinion on how some of these games ended up playing out. I did watch a fair share of them, so yeah, I just wanted to come to you guys and kind of let you know how I was feeling about that. Now, first game I want to kind of dive into and dissect a little bit before we get into any games themselves. Texas, it was just announced that Texas fired Rodney Terry and is going to be hiring Sean Miller, the Xavier men's basketball coach, as their new men's basketball coach over at Texas University, or University of Texas. My apologies. But Sean Miller is now the Longhorns' new head coach out with Rodney Terry. I mean, man, my heart goes out to Rodney Terry. Personally, I know Texas didn't have the best year with some of the talent that they had brought in via the transfer portal and via their recruiting class. But I think Rodney Terry got the plug pulled on him a little bit too early. I don't think he was fully able to just establish the culture in the way that he wanted Texas to be ran, honestly, after many years as an assistant and kind of being the next guy up and being the guy that's establishing other coaches' culture and other coaches' identity for their teams. I just kind of felt like it was unfair a little bit to only give him 2 years to establish one of his own when Texas wasn't necessarily doing bad. I mean, I know they had a bit of an underwhelming season, but they were in the best conference that we might have ever seen playing college basketball with this SEC conference. And there's still 7 teams from the SEC currently dancing in the Sweet 16. So half of the national tournament almost is the SEC. So, I mean, to me, if Texas was in the Big 12, I think Texas has a much better season, and I don't think Rodney Terry loses his job, but that's just the way that the cookie crumbles from time to time. Also want to touch on Ben McCullum, the head coach over at Drake, who me and the co-host of this WTBI podcast, me and my boy Connor, actually had the privilege of playing against during our college careers. Once again, he was the coach at Northwest Missouri State University, a perennial powerhouse in the Division II ranks for men's basketball, won numerous national championships there. And me and Connor actually had the pleasure of taking down Ben McCullum and that Northwest Missouri State team in our conference championship game, our conference tournament championship game. And we actually beat them at their home gym. So that was pretty fun. But shout out to Ben McCullum, man. He's on his way to Iowa now. I know he's gonna do great things out there. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that he will find success there. So yeah, just shout out Ben McCullum. Shout out to the Drake basketball team. You guys had a great season. I enjoyed watching you guys very much. Bennett Sturts, you can expect Bennett Sturts to probably test the NBA waters. If not, I would expect a transfer to Iowa just for a bit of an increase in competition. But I'm excited to see how his philosophy and his coaching strategy is going to travel with him to Iowa, to a bit of a bigger program. So, yeah. But getting into some of these NCAA games, I want to start off first with Florida and UConn. Great game. I thought UConn really came to play. I thought UConn really accepted the role of kind of being an underdog this tournament. I think they kind of enjoyed not having so much pressure on them a little bit. And you could kind of see it in the way that they played. I mean, they were gritty on defense. They played great defense. They got stops when they needed them. They made shots when they needed them. They just also didn't make shots when they needed to. And a couple plays down the stretch just ended up not going their way. And they absolutely ran into a complete buzzsaw, which is Florida. This Florida team is an absolute juggernaut from from top to bottom. Walter Clayton Jr. is a monster. Walter Clayton Jr. buried the Huskies late in the second half with 2 back-to-back threes over on the wing. Over on the right wing to seal the deal. Great game by him. To me, though, the game changer with Florida is honestly their bigs. With having 3 mobile 7-footers that can kind of roam around, protect the basket, and on the offensive end can play make, can finish around the rim, can shoot it if you need them to. I just think that's a luxury that not a lot of teams in college basketball have, and it's going to be a very, very, very eye-opening experience for the next couple of teams that Florida runs into, in my opinion. So, yeah. Shout out to Florida, though. Shout out to UConn on a great season. Danny Hurley will be back, you guys. I don't think that this is the end of UConn's dominant run in college basketball. Dan Hurley is one of the best coaches in college basketball. Love or hate his antics and emotions on and off the court. He's got one of the best offensive systems in college basketball, if not the best. His teams always guard and they always come to play. Win, lose, draw, you're always going to get a great game out of UConn. So respect to them. Shout out to the Huskies, and yeah. Better luck next year. Transitioning into the Duke and Baylor game, I think that this game really was determined in the first half, in my opinion. A little bit of foul trouble for Norchad Omier, but didn't necessarily take him out the game. I liked how Scott Drew allowed him to play through foul trouble and allowed his senior big man to stay on the floor and give Baylor the best chance at winning. But ultimately, this Duke team is just too much. They're too deep. They're too talented. Tyrese Proctor is in a different mode right now. He is shooting an ungodly percentage from 3 during the March Madness tournament. I don't necessarily have it off the top of my head, but I know he went 6 for 8 from 3 in the first round, and then followed that performance up going 7 of 8 from 3 in the second round. So shout out to Tyrese Proctor. Shout out to Duke. Duke is doing exactly what I expected them to do. Duke has a juggernaut of a squad on paper. John Shire is a great head coach. I expect Duke to make Final Four at least, or if not national championship or bust. They have a team that very few people can keep up with talent-wise, and when you mix that with the way that they play and how disciplined they are and getting the shots that they want and getting stops when they need them, man, Duke is a scary team that you do not want to run into. Kind of moving on, Illinois versus Kentucky. I thought this was a really good game. I was expecting a big game out of Will Riley. It came from Kylan Boswell. Shout out to Kobe Brea as well, one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter in college basketball. But I think this game came down to experience and coaching. To me, Kentucky just looked a bit more poised down the stretch. It wasn't really much that it seemed like Illinois was going to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Kentucky. Kentucky has looked like a very complete team all year. They've been riddled with some injuries, so I feel like they dropped a couple games due to injury, and maybe a couple people were counting them out a little bit, but Mark Pope is doing a phenomenal job in his first year as a head coach for the Kentucky Wildcats, and I'm excited to see how far Kentucky will go in this tournament. But hats off to Illinois on a good season. I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as a great season, but shout out to Illinois on a good season. You guys just ran into a more experienced, better team that day. It is what it is. Nothing to hang your hats on. Just build from it, learn from it, come back next year if you can, keep the same team. And yeah, I'll be really excited to see what you guys can put together next year if you can keep some of these pieces around. Pivoting to the Alabama and St. Mary's game. Alabama took it home 80-66 over St. Mary's. I kind of expected this game to go like this. The only way that I saw St. Mary's beating Alabama is if they were just able to slow the game down to a point where Alabama was just very uncomfortable, and if they were able to get a plethora of stops, which is going to be very hard against an Alabama team with some of the best guard talent in the country, along with some of the best bigs in the country when it comes to experience, when it comes to winning, when it comes to just doing the little dirty work that results in W's being put in the category. Alabama is some of the best they can get. Hats off to St. Mary's. Nothing to hang your head about. Phenomenal season from you guys. Yeah, I was a bit worried about Alabama coming into this game just because the game in Robert Morris, I feel like they definitely could have had more of a dominant win. But this was good to see out of Bama. I would love to see Bama make the Final Final Four, at least the Elite Eight, to see that Duke game. But they are very, very, very deep. On any given night, anybody for Alabama can be the leading scorer, and I think that's the most dangerous quality that a team can have, especially in the March Madness tournament, where typically it's always somebody that you don't expect that goes off and is that deciding factor for the game. Yeah, shout out to the Crimson Tide, man. They got the job done. They did their thing. Next game I want to jump into, Maryland versus Colorado State. This was one of the best games of the day, if not the best game of the day, in my opinion. Maryland and Colorado State was a dogfight from start to finish. I think Neat Clifford is a great talent. I think Kyan Evans is a great talent. I think Jalen Lake is a great talent. I think what Colorado State has established there is a very promising culture and identity for their program. I mean, I would expect to see Colorado State around for the next couple of years with the way that they've played. They've got a couple of young guys. Kyan Evans is only a sophomore. Neat Clifford is a senior. I believe Jalen Lake is as well. If they can get some guys in the portal or retool this team to make another deep run, I'd be excited to see what Colorado State could do again next year, because like I said, I love the way they play. They're gonna guard. They play with confidence. They shoot it well. Yeah, but ultimately it wasn't enough. Derek Queen, Juju Reese in Maryland ended up pulling it out. Of course, as everybody knows, Derek Queen hit the game winner after Jalen Lake hit a clutch three to go up one with about 5 or 6 seconds left in the game. But shout out to Derek Queen, man. Derek Queen is a monster. I seen people saying that he traveled on the game-winning shot and all it is. First off, it's called a gather step. I know we're not in the league, but players are getting paid like it, so they're probably going to call the games like it. It's a gather step. I don't think he traveled. I don't think they should have called a travel in that situation either. But Derek Queen is a monster, man. 17.7 of 12 from shooting from the field. Demanded the ball on the last play from his coach. That's always what you want to see from a guy that is leading your team, and especially a guy that is a projected lottery pick. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to see how Derek Queen is going to carry himself in this Maryland team throughout the rest of the tournament. I was sleeping on Maryland a little bit. I'm not afraid to say it. I knew that they were a good team. I just didn't know how they would fare up against some of these better teams that they might run into that they might run into during the tournament, in my opinion. But ultimately, shout out to Maryland, man. They got the job done. They're moving on to the Sweet 16. And yeah, great game from Derek Queen. Great game from Juju Reese. Controlled the glass very well. And that's the name of the game with Maryland. If they can knock down shots and get their bigs going, 9 times out of 10, they're going to win the game. Yeah. Kind of pivoting, moving on. Ole Miss and Iowa State. That was a great game. Ole Miss and Iowa State was, well, I won't say a great game. Ole Miss was in control pretty much throughout the entirety of the game. Iowa State didn't really show up and put their best foot forward. It's not typical that you'll see that from an Iowa State squad, but I was expecting Iowa State to either kind of get knocked out in this game against Ole Miss or in the next round. So I just didn't think, dealing with some of the injuries that they were dealing with, I didn't think that they had enough gas on paper. Sean Padula has been playing out of his mind since the SEC tournament, not even since before the March Madness tournament. So shout out to Sean Padula, Chris Beard, and the Ole Miss Running Rebels. Them boys are moving on, making a deep run into the Sweet 16, and I'm excited to see what they will do against Izzo and the Spartans on Friday coming up this week. Let's see, pivoting. Michigan State and New Mexico. Great game. Great game. I expected a great game. Got a great game. Came down to about the final 3-ish minutes, I would say. Shout out to New Mexico State. I just think that New Mexico State kind of ran out of gas. They just didn't have the depth to keep up with Michigan State. No disrespect at all to New Mexico State. They had a great, great year. Donovan Dent is a absolute problem. He was a bit contained yesterday during that matchup, but nonetheless, hats off. Great season. Great season. Phenomenal season for the New Mexico Lobos. And yeah, man, I mean, nothing to hang their hat on whatsoever. I mean, they have nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be mad about. Like, great season. But I also want to take this time to give Tom Izzo his flowers, because shout out to Coach Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans for putting together a hard-nosed, gritty performance from start to finish. And I know that that's what we always expect from these Michigan State teams, but it was just put on full display yesterday. And I think that this Michigan State team is going to make a deep run in this tournament. And Jace Richardson wasn't necessarily on last night. He did kind of come alive a bit in the end of the game to seal the deal, but he wasn't necessarily alive and well and there. So for Michigan State to still be able to find a way to pull out a victory is very promising, very reassuring to me personally. I love the way Michigan State plays. I love the way Izzo coaches. And I think that they'll make a decent run. Final game of the night that I kind of wanted to jump into, Arizona versus Oregon. Arizona versus Oregon was a great game. Shout out to Caleb Love. We just gonna address the elephant in the room right now. That was one of the greatest games I've seen Caleb Love have this year, and it came at a time when Arizona needed him most. Whether or not his motivation for doing that was the matchup that they have against Duke coming up now, I don't know. But a phenomenal game for Caleb Love against Oregon. There was nothing that they could do with him. Caleb Love looked like he was in his element. Caleb Love is a great basketball player. Leaving UNC, he kind of had a bit of smut put on his name, tarnished his image a little bit. But, nonetheless, bro, skill is skill. And y'all see Caleb Love is a hooper. He is a guy that can go out there and get you one. He can go out there and get you multiple buckets. But when I say get you one, I mean get you a big win. He can be a bit inconsistent, can be a bit streaky at times. But he showed up last night, and he showed up big. He showed up in a big way, came to play. And his Arizona Wildcats are moving on to the Sweet 16. So shout out to Caleb Love. Shout out to them boys. Also, shout out to Oregon and Jackson Chilstead. Great season from you guys. Also, nothing to hang your hat on. Nothing to hang your head about. But great season from you guys. Phenomenal season. I did want to touch on one last topic. Arkansas versus St. John's. Game went down to the wire. Was a great game between two legendary head coaches, John Calipari and Rick Pitino. Just happened to be a game where some of St. John's best players just didn't show up that day. RJ Lewis shot 3 for 17 from the field. I saw people kind of questioning Rick Pitino for sitting him the last couple of minutes of the game. Personally, would I have sat RJ Lewis? No. But, he was 3 for 17 on a day, Let's not act like he was just out there hooping and Rick Pitino sat him for no reason. The guy missed 14 shots. He was in foul trouble. It just seemed like he was kind of in his own head. Now, would I have still let him play just to keep him out there because he's a threat to score at all times, and he's been our leader all year, and he's still a guy that's very capable on defense? Absolutely. But I definitely understand why Rick Pitino took him out the game. RJ Lewis wasn't having his best game. Neither was Kaderi Richmond. So St. John's unfortunately did have their season come to an end. It was a great season for St. John's. I'm just more so happy that St. John's basketball is back. I feel like St. John's will definitely get their hands on a couple of transfers in the portal, possibly some big name guys if they're on the move. One big name guy in particular, I think this St. John's might be targeting would be possibly like an Ian Jackson. If an Ian Jackson decides that maybe he wants to test the NBA waters and he's not hearing what he's liking and he wants to come back to college basketball, but to enter the portal, I would definitely look for St. John's to be a big threat to snag a guy like that. All of this East Coast talent just kind of floating around college basketball that maybe thinks that grass is greener on the other side elsewhere. I would take a deep, dark, hard look at St. John's, man. I feel like they definitely got the plan. They just need the platform, and they just need the players to be able to perform. Shout out to St. John's, and shout out to all of the teams that, did their things during the first week of March Madness. And I'm excited, very, very excited for some of these games coming up in the Sweet 16. I'm not going to get into the Sweet 16 at all. I'm not even going to touch on the matchups just because me and Connor do have a Sweet 16 breakdown episode coming up very, very, very soon that we will have out for you guys that will kind of just tackle my opinions and stuff like that on these Sweet 16 games coming up. But without any further ado, this was a WTBI exclusive with your boy WTBI Zeem. Once again, Con is still a part of this. I just kind of wanted to come to you guys and kind of just give you guys my synopsis of what I thought March Madness was looking like for the first week. The name of the game, the theme of the game this weekend was coaching to me. Great coaches are being promoted. Some of these coaches that don't make the best decisions are being exposed. If the shoe fits, wear it. I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but if you feel like I'm talking about that coach, I'm probably talking about that coach. So, yeah, man, without any further ado, this has been another great episode. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys comment, make sure you guys subscribe, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys tell a friend to tell a friend that WTBI is the wave. We are What the Business Is podcast. And yeah, man, tap in with us on Instagram at WTBI Pod. Tap in with us on TikTok at WTBI Podcast. Tap in with us on YouTube and Spotify at What the Business Is Podcast. Yeah, we'll be on X here soon. We'll be on, I almost said Twitter. We'll be on X here soon. Might be on Twitch here soon. So you guys just stay tuned. We got some big things coming up for you guys. We appreciate all the love and support. Without any further ado, y'all, till next time, What the Business Is.